Hey everybody, it's Rory from ANS Gear, and we're upstairs at the table like we normally do. We're gonna try something a little different though. We're gonna start putting out videos from my bench downstairs where I normally do all of my work and servicing guns. We're gonna start a line of videos that is going to help you become a more confident, better paintball player when it comes to managing your own gear. How to fix your guns, common problems that I see with equipment, how to fix tanks, loaders, all those things that we always get questions about. Hopefully these videos can help you solve your own problems and not be relying on someone else to do for you. So I'm trying to help you out, make you a more confident, better paintball player. So watch the videos. We're gonna upload all sorts of content. Thanks for watching, ansgear.com. All right, so customers dropped this gun off in retail they're saying we've got a leak through the ASA down here at the bottom. So we're gonna check that out. They also wanted to do a tune-up on there. So we're gonna go through the gun and replace the O-rings in there, and you'll see how it comes apart. The O-rings that I replaced inside there, I'm gonna replace them all. And then we'll put it back together and make sure we solve the leak. But let's try to pinpoint the leak or see the leak before we actually get into it, so we have an idea of what we're looking for problem-wise. I'm gonna remove that off of there. We're gonna remove these old tags that are on this gun, just because that's stuff that we don't need to be monkeying around with or getting in the way. I know people love to leave those on there as a badge of honor or something like that. I don't know what it is really, but I'm taking them off. Let's see. All right, solenoid is activating, eyes are working. The regulator seems pretty far in, but let's reset that. I know that they want 4 turns from all the way out. So let's bring this all the way out real quick. And then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a good starting position. It doesn't necessarily mean that's perfect velocity for every gun, but it is a good starting spot. Pops is off. Put that on. We're going to turn the eyes off again in case we need to shoot it. Definitely leaking out of the bottom, I would say. All right, so let's get the gun broken down at least. Let's get the parts off of it. We'll strip it down so that we can get to the goodies. This pops off the back, which allows our grips to come off. Got a good amount of paint still in here. I mean, this could have been from the last time they were playing. Seems pretty fresh. So I will clean, like if a gun is dropped off for a tune-up like this, I will clean the insides of it off. But I'm not going to go around and scrub the outside of their gun for them. That's something that they can do on their own. I'll fix the problems and clean up as much as I can, and clean anywhere that could cause a problem to parts that are inside the gun. But I'm not going to scrub your grips out or anything like that. Get some Q-tips here. This one I might actually have to take over to the sink to get that out of there. It's nice and gooey down inside there. Oh, there we go. Get that down in there. I can see a lot of grease up in here, which is not a bad thing. The solenoids actually need to be pretty well lubed up in these things to keep them running, so that's not a problem. Greasy solenoid is okay in my book. I'm going to remove the battery in the foregrip. Actually, I really don't need to, but let me just kind of go over how you would take it off if you needed to. Flip that out, push those together. That's going to pop off, and then that'll drop off. Got the Amazon battery rocking right here. Be careful with non-name brand batteries in paintball guns. They can cause problems. I'm going to take the feed neck off real quick, just in case I need to slide the body out. We got that. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at all the paint in the PAL part of the loader. If this was from the last time they played, they certainly did get blasted. Or they're breaking paint up through the top of their loader, which for a gun like that is not common. But oh yeah, there's definitely their whole, I don't know if you can see down in there, in that front hole down in there, but that's the portage where the air comes up through when the gun is fired to activate the PAL system, makes this piston pop up and down, which then in turn shakes the loader if you're running a PAL loader. There's so much paint in there that that hole is plugged up too. Get a nice clean through there. And again, I'm going to go over the parts that could affect the gun working, and this is definitely something that could affect the functionality of the gun. All right, so that's better for that. This we're going to clean off, and then once we get the body out of the sleeve, we can clean out that section a little bit better in the body right there. All right, let's go ahead and separate these two out. Oh, well, yeah, let's just do it that way. I don't work really in a set order. I just kind of go through the gun. Sometimes I do top to bottom. Sometimes I do like focus on the problem parts first. It really is up to you how you want to do it. Just make sure you get the whole thing done. Let's see how this looks. Separate this out. Not too much paint in here, which is good because we don't want to see a lot of paint down in this section. We don't want paint on the board. Obviously, we don't want paint on the eye system right here. Nice thing about these versions of the gun, or I shouldn't say these versions, this gun and subsequent models after it, the eye sensors are kept away from the actual hole where the paint and debris could be. By using that reflective eye inside here, well, I don't want to confuse anybody. It's not a reflective, still a break beam eye system, but the reflective nature of the eye cover, which bounces the beam around, it keeps the sensor actually out of the way and keeps it usually clean and free of debris. We pull that out, you can see it's pretty dirty inside here. So let's get the back cap off. Now, if this is on here in the right way, I should be able to unscrew this by hand. You don't need to tighten these down at all. You should really just be putting them to the point where they snug up. Oh man, because you really don't need to do that. This does not need to be tight on here. There we go. It just needs to be snug. You turn it till you feel it stop, and then you don't need to tighten it down. Ugh, that's pretty. We'll clean that up too. Body's not going to come out of there. You gotta be super careful when you try to remove the body, like this section out of here. I'm going to use this Delrin little thing I have right here, and I'm just going to tap on it. And I'm using this piece as kind of the point where I'm putting the force against it. But if you're going to use something to tap against it and knock it out of the way, you want to make sure you don't break these tabs that are along here, because if you just keep hammering down like this, eventually the bottom of whatever device you're using is going to hit that, and then it's going to want to break it off. So let's see if that's far enough now where I can push it out with my hand the rest of the way. There we go. And then this is our housing right here. And then that Right there is the little port for our PAL section. So let's just get this all cleaned up. All right. Like again, I'm not too concerned about the body, the outer part. It's just going to get covered in dirt again next time we go out and play. Get that all clean. All right. So now that we've got the gun kind of in pieces, we can see where our messes are going to lie. I'm going to move the things up that I'm done with, really. Keep the things that I'm still working on down here. Just clean any areas that I'm really not going to focus on. I can see a little bit of paint up in there, and that's where the hole for the PAL assembly comes through. Again, I'm going to clean that. All right, let's move some screws over there, move that up to the top. Let's do these eye covers real quick. So the eye cover, as you see it right here, it is just have some paint on it. And the way the eye works is you can see the eye sensor is actually down here. I got paint on my fingers. Is on the bottom down here, and the eye sits like this inside there. It's actually this side we're looking at right here. And so this little piece of plastic that you see right here has a mirrored back to it, and the sensor, the signal comes out of the sensor, goes into the bottom, and then goes around and up and then back out the top. It's kind of like a periscope. And so up in this top section up here is where the ball is moving around and everything, and the sensor stays clean and clear away down at the bottom. So we need to get that out of there. And then we can take these, and you can actually pop these out like that. And if we look at it from the top, you can see that there's one side that's bigger and there's one side that's not. So there's one taller side and one short side. The taller side is going to go at the bottom, and you can see the reflective backing. So it kind of goes in and bounces around and then comes back out the other side. And that's how they keep the sensor away from it. So I'm just going to clean up that. Sometimes I have seen paint get down inside of here, and that can actually affect the eye. Sometimes the eye won't work because it can't properly bounce that light around inside of there. So we're going to clean that up. We're going to push it back into the bottom. Remember, the large side goes at the bottom, and it should sit flush. Like that large section should sit flush right along there. So move over to this one. I'm going to pop that out. And you do not pull this metallic backing off of there. That's basically works as your mirror. You don't want to damage or lose that part inside there. Otherwise, you'll need to replace it. So do that. Let's clean the top of this off. You know, obviously you want to look for any potential problems, and you want to look for any damage. Just make sure that it looks clean. And then go ahead and put that back in, and again, make sure that the large part's at the bottom. Done and done. We can do this one real quick too. We are going to replace the detents that are on here. So let's get some detents out. Need 2 of those. Wipe this down, and having it outside of the housing makes it much easier to deal with. Let's see here. We're gonna pop that one off of there. Oh yeah, covered in paint. Pop that off of there. Covered in paint, grime. We'll get a Q-tip in there and clean that out. But the eyes in your gun are like very, very important. If those get dirty or aren't functioning properly, the whole workings of the gun are going to have problems. So you really need to make sure you maintain that section of your gun. If you break paint, the end of the day, make sure you get inside there and clean it out. A lot of people don't go far enough. They'll, swab the inside of their gun or something like that, but they don't go the extra step to clean out the housing where everything sits inside of there. Another thing you want to remember is once you use a Q-tip and jam it down in there, you'll clean the stuff that's right here, but you also could push stuff down into the inside of the gun. And if you forget, like I pushed some stuff down in there and look at that, it comes out on my finger. When you go to put everything back together, you're just going to cover it in goo again. So if you're going to spend the time to clean the gun out, at least you do it right. Get your pick, get your parts, grab your wife, grab your kids, and clean it out. And I know I've said this in other videos, you've got to have a pick to get all of that stuff out of there. There'll be stuff hiding you didn't even know could have stuff hiding in it. Super important. And if you don't want to have to keep cleaning that out, take a towel, a shop rag, or whatever you have, and you can push that down in there so it's underneath the little hole there. That way, if you do push anything on or down, it gets picked up by the towel. I do like to keep my finger in there though, so I can put pressure on it. So if something does pop in there, I know it sticks to the towel. Like that. I know it's not falling across to the other side and then getting the other side dirty again. Okay. Now we're going to clean out that hole right there. So take another Q-tip. We go through a lot of Q-tips around here. I'm kind of gonna, when I see me doing this, I'm just kind of pulling the Q-tip down, and that makes it a little bit more fluffy, and it will get into things that you need it to. So I'm gonna fluff that one up a little bit and stick it down in there and twist it around. Q-tip fluffer. And that gets a good cleaning in there. And then I'm going to put this inside. I'm going to push down through there and get that onto the towel so I can get that hole cleaned up. There you go, all that paint. If you don't have a clear path for your air to flow through there to activate your PAL system, then what's the point in having it, right? All right, that's a lot of talk to get to the point where we're actually working on things that are, going to matter. So let's get the solenoid out and we'll replace the parts of the solenoid. So you're going to disconnect the solenoid wire right there. And again, I'm using a pick. I try not to if I can, and this isn't always a thing you can do, but to try not to grab the wires and pull on them. Sometimes you just have to. But with a pick, you can get the edges of the harness and pop them out of the bracket, and it can be helpful. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put the eyes or the detents back in this one over here. So our new detents, I'm going to put those in here. If you run a lot of different Planet guns, they sell these detents in a pack of 10. Pick up the whole pack because you will go through them. That's every time you do like maintenance, you should just replace your detents. It's just a good rule of thumb to always replace it. So we're going to pop the two brass pins out the side, and that will allow us to get a hold of our solenoid and pull it up. If I can't get a hold of it, give it a little shake and get it out of here. Use your pick, pop it up from the bottom. Pull it out of there. There is an O-ring on the bottom of this transfer tube that's underneath it, which can make it want to stick on there. It's on this tube. We'll pull the tube out in a second. We're gonna push it up from the bottom. Once we get this assembly out, we can push that out. But, so here's our solenoid. So we got our pilot valve, which is here, and then the housing that has the switch inside of it. We're gonna clean that up. These gaskets are pretty bulletproof, so I'm not gonna actually switch that gasket out. I am going to clean it though. I'm gonna re-grease it where it sits. And then I'm going to just drop it right back in there. Put some grease back on the top. And get that. Now I can see, here's a sign of something going on right here. Now, this one was leaking. We heard it leaking out of the bottom right there, but also the solenoid wasn't, I didn't really hear it activating so much. And I can see that the O-ring on the back of the spool has popped off. You can see it not even on the spool shaft anymore. And actually just grabbed it and pulled it all the way off. Definitely not something you should be able to do from this position right here. So that either, I have seen those go bad. That happens. It's not a big deal. There's replacements in your parts kit. You can overpressurize it and that can cause it to happen every once in a while too. But this reg definitely wasn't overpressurized when it came in. It can be super dry right here and it catches the O-ring and peels it off of the spool. So there's a couple different ways for that to pop off. And I'm glad we got that. So, I mean, obviously that's what we're here for, to get that taken care of. I'm going to remove the pilot valve. From here, so I'm going to pull that. Ooh, not enough, didn't go far enough yet. I'm going to set this O-ring off to the side. Obviously it's bad, it's been creased, I don't want to use it. Set my pilot valve down over here. Take this off of here. And here, and again, I don't want to lose these. And that gets me to my spool. Pop that out. And there you go. You can see that that's the one that we were missing. We got these two right here. We're going to replace both of those. Well, actually all three of them. Grab a clean Q-tip and we're going to swab the inside of this out. And then we're going to grease in there. All right, so that's set up to go. Now with the solenoid right here, there's two different sizes of O-ring. There's the two at the front on the spool shaft right here. These two are the same, and then this one is different on the back side right here. Now, I'm pretty sure, I can look at my chart, but this is a 6x1 O-ring, and that these two are a special seal for Planet Eclipse, and it's called a number 6 O-ring. So right here, I have some. So here it is. This is the number 6 spool seal. It's the same one they use in the CS1. You can see that right there. And it's not a completely round, well, it's round, let me rephrase that. It's round this way, like you can see it in the bag right here, but it's actually thin and flat when we look at it from the side. And that sits inside these grooves right here. And then the one at the back is a 6x1 O-ring, like this one right here. And that sits at the back. A lot of people get those confused. It is a number 6 spool seal, which goes at the front, and then a 6x1 O-ring that goes at the back. So we're going to pull out our 6x1 for the back side here. And then we're going to pull out two number 6 spool seals. Right there. We'll move that out of the way. All right, so we're going to pull these ones off. You could use the pick, but if you can avoid it, or if you know what you're doing, you can use the pick, but you don't want to scratch this up in any way. So you can use your fingers and like roll it out with your fingernail and pull it off of there. My phone's ringing. Move that over there. Give me 1 second while I get my phone. So I'm going to replace that. Clean that off there. Going to replace that back there. And then these front 2 seals. See how I squeeze it with my fingernails and it kind of bunches out? And then I can grab it with my pick and pull that off of there. And move that out of the way. And again, they are round this way. When we stand them up, they're very thin and flat. So a very specific seal for this. And when we put these on, we have to make sure that they go in flat and they don't twist or rotate, because then they wouldn't seal properly. So we're just going to put them around like that. And then we're going to bring that down and hook it into place down below. And again, I'm watching it to make sure I don't see it spin or flip, and that it seats properly inside there. If it looks like it's rotated, like it's kind of bulging out right here, I'm gonna grab it and lift it out and spin my pick around and make sure that it's sitting in there the proper way, which it is. And then I'll grab a little bit of grease. All right, I can put that back in there. Actually, we're going to leave this out for a second. I am going to put this back together so I don't lose any components sitting around anywhere. Oops, I think I tried to put that in upside down. I did. Tighten that down. Then we do want to snug it up. Obviously, we don't want to crush it. We just want it to be snug. So get it to the bottom, snug it up. And then put these back on. And the same thing for these. You don't need to over tighten them. You just need to make sure they're tight. You don't want to damage your pilot valve or damage anything else. All right. Looking good. All right. So we can move that up and out of the way. This is done. This is done. Let's look at this section down here. So let's pull off the ASA. Paint's just coming right out of there. Pull this out. Oops, one thing you want to make sure is these little nuts. This is what goes in and holds this screw in place when the ASA attaches. Don't lose those. If you just flop it over like I did right there, that's going to fall right out. And push this up. This is just our transfer tube that goes from here to here. So these on here, I'm going to replace these ones. Be sure these are just number 10s. And I do have a size chart over here of all my diagrams for things like that. I see a lot of different guns, and so it's always handy to have a chart. If you only work on 1 or 2 different guns, you can probably remember what all the O-rings are. I see a ton of guns, so I do need charts. Everybody does. And then I have my O-ring sizer over here, which is very helpful, where I can just drop the O-ring into these grooves and it actually fits right inside there. And it tells me what size O-rings I have. Like that fits right down in perfectly into that groove. So I know that's a size 10 right there. I cut this off of an Exalt mat or some mat. I don't remember which mat I cut this off of, but you can find these mats on the site with that piece on there. So We got 2 10s. We're going to move that over there. And then also I have a little thing of O-rings right here that I keep, and they're on a post and they're all numbered for sizing. And so it makes it really easy for me to grab the O-rings that I need if I'm working on a gun like that. So I can grab 2 number 10s because they're more on the number 10 spot right there. And I just keep this at my desk. It's standing up out of the way so you guys don't see it. But I go through a lot of O-rings. All right, so that can go up there. Let's get this disassembled. So this just screws together down here at the bottom. It's threaded together. Let's pull this part off. Get that out of the way. We're also going to remove the core out of here and replace the O-rings on the core. So you want to make sure that this pin is forward. And even sometimes with that, it's hard to get these out of here. You can take the core or what's the word I'm looking for here? You can take the on-off lever right here all the way off, and then it will make it easier to get it off of there. Like that. You push it in, slide it forward a little bit, and then you have to spread these 2 back pieces out to get it to slide off. That'll let this piece come forward a little bit more, and even if you can't get it from there, like that, that really just doesn't want to come out of there still. You can pull the pin out. So we're going to push the pin through and it'll fall through the other side. And it's just held in place by 2 O-rings on this shaft right here. That should allow that to drop down further in like that. And then we can unscrew it. Sometimes you can get it out without taking the whole thing apart. But this is not one of those times. So I'm going to pop that out of there and then replace everything that's in there. That right there is a I think that's a 470 or a 590 and a 7. Can't remember. Yes, 590. So an 00590 urethane, and then a 790 and 00770. So this is a softer one. This one right here is a harder one. But let's clean out the inside here. I'm going to clean the inside of this out while we've got it apart. Clean the inside of this. That's scratching on the bottom right there, so we can't really clean that. Clean that. Get that all ship shape. And I'm going to take a little bit of grease, put it down at the bottom. And we'll take our pin, and we can push this pin out and pull it out. You got a really fat end and then the skinny end. The fat end is what sticks out the side that goes towards the tank. We'll pop this 590 off the end and the 770 off the body. Like that. And then I have this 590 here. If I can open this bag up. Oop. Takes care of that one. And then I have a 7 on my board right here. So the 7, put around here. And this one, I'm gonna clean that out. A little bit of grease. Put that one in there. Push it down into its spot. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on top. And then I'm gonna put this in first. So I'm gonna set this down in here. I'm gonna thread it down. I'm gonna take the pin. I'm gonna put it down in there. And push that down in. Then I can tighten that up the rest of the way. What I'll need to do is slide the post back a little bit in order to get this one back through. If you do need to replace these O-rings that are on the post right here, they are 00470 O-rings, but these ones look fine, and they don't seal or, you know, trap air or anything. They just keep this pin from falling out. So as long as they're doing their job, there's no reason to replace them. Go. Oh, I went too far. I'm going to put our post back in first. I'm going to compress it down and then slide it in. And that will allow us to move that back and forth. All right. That's done. Move that out of the way. Last two things we need to work on, the bolt assembly and the regulator. So let's get those cleaned up. I can see there's some sort of something coming out of the inside of that. Looks like part of an O-ring, I guess, or Teflon. But we're just going to unscrew this. We're going to pull our piston out. There. That. Oh yeah. There's an O-ring or something that's been trapped inside here. So let's get wrong way. Let's screw this up. Oh, look at that. So let's take that out of there. That's not going to do anything for you. All right, so let's get this good and clean. So if you see something like that popping out of there, you know that there's stuff that has gotten all over the place. Get that all cleaned up. Dirty, dirty bird. All right, so we're going to do that over there. These go to our body. I'm going to take this spring and I'm just going to wipe down the outside of it, just in case it has any debris on it. We'll run a quick little Q-tip through the inside of it, just in case there's any chunks of that O-ring caught inside there. And then we'll start rebuilding this. So let's get the O-rings. Pretty sure the bottoms are 15s here. Oh, let me get 15. 15 and 15 on the bottom, and these are 1570. Those right there. Just cleaning the groove that the O-ring sits in. If I see a lot of grease or debris underneath it, try to clean that out. All right, that's good. All right, so we're all clean on the inside there. Let's clean this top section. All right. All right, let me put that back together. Just cleaning off the piston right here. And I need to go grab the right O-ring for this one. So I'm going to pause this real quick so I can go grab the O-ring that I need. All right, so I went and got the 14 by 2s, filled up my bin that I needed. So this is not a size 14 O-ring. This is a 14 by 2. Again, important that you do keep the distinction between the two. Let's grab that one. I'm gonna pop that one on there. We can set that together with that. This is done. We changed those O-rings on the bottom. That can go there. Now we're going to get into this part right here. So on the adjuster right here, these top and bottom ones are 11s. So let's replace these 11s real quick. And then we are going to split the adjuster apart and replace the O-rings that are on the inside of it as well. So 11s right here. Let's get these ones out and installed right there. Now we need to get to the inside of this. There's an O-ring on the inside here, which I believe is a size 8, a 00870. We need to pull that one out. We also need to replace the reg seat that's inside here. So to do this, you're going to put your 1/8 Allen key in the bottom, and then we're going to slide an Allen key through the two holes from side to side, and we're going to break it free. Now, if it's been put together properly, you shouldn't need a lot of force to get that apart. If you really have to crank on it, there's a chance that you can damage this, and you want to be super careful with that. You don't want to break this brass piece up here. It should not require a lot of force to get it apart. So we can pull that apart now and do that. Let's do the top part first. We'll get that O-ring out of there. So again, for something like this, you have to have a pick. There's no other way to get this O-ring out of there other than with a pick. We'll go down in there and we'll scoop it out without, damaging anything or pulling that out of there. So there's that one. Get that over there. And again, that is an 8. Before I put that in, I'm going to clean through here. I'm going to try to just get any kind of debris out of there, because this is the same area where that busted O-ring was. We just want to make sure that it's clean. And then I'm going to drop that down in there. I'm using the side of my pick, not the pointy side, but the back side, the rounded side right here, to put it in and then help push that O-ring down and guide it into the right spot. And there's a little groove down in the bottom down there where the O-ring will sit. Those little bells that you're hearing in the background are our doors for the retail store. Like when you're walking into a 7-Eleven. Just lets us know in the back here that somebody's walking in the door. There you go. That's now installed down in there. That does need a little bit of goo on there. Now for this side, we're going to replace the reg seat. And we're just going to get a hold of it and pull it out. And then underneath it are our purge pin and poppet. These are very important. Don't lose them. They just sit as they are down inside there. And it should have a point or a nose to it. There's one side that has a little lip on it where the spring attaches to it. And there's one side that doesn't. That just sits right in there. And then pull out a new reg seat and put that into place. All right, now we can go ahead and put these back together. We're gonna do it the same way. Tighten it down, put that in the bottom, put this through here, go to where it stops, and then a little snug, that's it. Don't over tighten it. And that's our regulator right there. So that part is done. We'll move on to the bolt assembly next. Obviously, the most important part, well, I don't know, I think the regulator is probably the most important part of the gun to me. If that doesn't work, nothing's gonna work right. Let's reassemble this real quick though. We're gonna put some grease inside here. And this is our adjuster side right here. So this has to come in from the top and come down. So a little bit on there, a little bit on there. in through the top, down to the bottom. I'm going to put my finger on it and push. I'm pushing into it while I'm unscrewing this, or backing it up, I should say, not unscrewing it. And I'm going to go all the way to where it stops. And I'm going to just feel the resistance and not force it. So that's done for there. I'm going to take this, grease in there, this, grease there, and then I'm going to set this down in there. And I want to be careful. I want to wiggle that piston as I drop it through there, because there's threading that's all along in here. And if I just smash the piston inside there, I might cut that O-ring on the threading as I pushed it in. So you just kind of teeter it as you push it through. You walk it in there, kind of just back and forth until it drops down to the bottom. Don't smash it in there and force it through. You're going to cause a problem. And then we'll screw that together. Like that. Now what we can do is we can take grease down here, grease this O-ring up, grease that next O-ring up. We can take this and we can thread this back together. And then we can set our regulator right now 4 turns in from all the way out. So we're all the way out. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to give us, again, starting spot. It's not the end spot. That's just where we're going to start. We're going to grease that up because that's where our transfer tube is going to go in. Grease that up. Then we can push this back up into there. Put that one in, and this one. Put this one in from this side, and this one. That's going to get everything together and just give us one less piece on our bench that we're worried about. And tighten that up. All right. Everything's looking good from here. Let's put this back together too. So this is going to drop in like this, and this is going to come up and then plug back in. So we're going to kind of just, we've got that greased up. We already greased up the end of our post that we put in. So we should be able to just drop that right in. And then if you look at these holes, one side is small and one side is big. You want to go through the big side and into the other side. And this will hold our solenoid assembly in place. There we go. And now we can use our pick and get our connection back together. Takes care of that. Takes care of that and that. We'll do this real quick. Actually, you know what? Let's just put it all back together and we'll do that last. We're going to put this in. What am I doing here? Yeah, that's the right way. I had to think about which way this goes real quick. Push that all the way up. We're good to go. We're going to clean this part off. This is where this top gasket connects with the body right here. So we're going to clean that up. A little bit of grease also on there. We're going to take our top. Now this part hooks into the front and then it closes down. And then we'll take our 2 frame screws and tighten this up. Now, if there was a bunch of dirt or whatever in the trigger, we could pull the trigger apart. There isn't. The trigger's nice and clean still. Somehow they managed to get shot in every part but their trigger, which is okay. It's
Sometimes that's just the way it works out. That goes on there. We'll put our eye covers on. I didn't clean the back side of the cover. There we go. You put that on there. And then we'll tighten this down. And then our other side, we already replaced our detent. We'll tighten that down as well. That's done there. We can get our grips back on that we cleaned up earlier. Well, for the most part. Again, I'm not going to scrub the outside of them. I'm just trying to make space and clean. I'm just keeping a clean work area here. There. Going to take a little bit of grease. This is again for our PAL assembly. Put a little bit on that O-ring that's at the bottom down there. I'm going to put this in like that. Put that through the hole, snap it on, and then tighten that down. And that assembles our gun back to the beginning. Now we just need to do our bolt. And I like to pull the bolt apart and then work on sections at a time. So let's do that. Let's pull this mamma jamma apart. I am going to pull this out real quick and just get that goo off of there so that when I pull it back through the back of the gun or the back of the bolt assembly, I don't put more paint on there than I need to. There. Oy. Here. There. Get the switch out. There. And that's that. That's all we really need to pull apart through there. So we're going to start with the back because it's the quickest and the easiest to get pulled apart. Clean the inside of it out. I'm going to re-grease the inside. And then I'm going to place all the O-rings on the outside here. We've got 3, and these are 20s. 1, 2, and 3. This is called the valve chamber back here. All right. Grab 3 of those. One, 2, 3. There we go. So that's done. We're going to change the O-rings on our switch, which are 16s, 0, 1, 6, 70s. Let's see, where are you? There you are. Now inside of the switch is where the spring guide or the spring guide and spool spring sit. So the spool spring, which is dealing with this red part right here. So this sits down in that little cup that you see down inside the switch. Sits down in there just like that. We can put that in later. I'm going to put some grease around the outside of that. Grease on that. And then I can take this and walk it down inside there. Push that all the way down to the bottom. And then just set this with it, because I know I need to put that back in there. We'll take out this. This is our spool. So we've got a 12, a 12, I believe an 11, and an 8 on here. And as I'm taking these off and changing these O-rings, I'm looking for damage or wear or anything like that that is in there. I don't see anything. So everything looks good on this one. Besides that mashed O-ring that we saw on the reg adjuster, everything has looked okay. And the spool, we saw that damaged O-ring on the spool or peeled off. And that could have been because of the reg adjuster. All right, so we got two 12s on the back side. Got an 11 on the middle. And then I believe an 8 on the front. I definitely recommend, if you are going to do work to your guns like you're seeing right here, to get a thing that holds your O-rings like that, because it really does make it easier. A little grease on there. You can see I'm not overdoing it with the grease. I'm not caking this in grease. We don't need to just saturate it. I just want to get those O-rings covered. Call it a day. All right. That's going to go down in the bottom, and then this comes right down on top, and the spring is going to go into that hole down there, and you can see it's going to like that. So we're going to just make sure that's in there right, put that in, and we're going to just leave it again like that for now. And again, you could not put it all together. I'm just showing you how it goes together as we're doing it. But you could wait and change them all out later. It's up to you. So on this section right here, we've got a 14 on the back side, 14 by 2 on this middle section right here, a 13 here, and this 13 kind of just rests down in at this area. Another 13 at the front, and then another 13. So it goes 13, 13, 13, 14 by 2, and 14. All right, so let's pull all of these out. Give this a little clean. And then we're going to clean out the inside of this also. And sometimes these little windows can get covered in goo too, so I'm going to put this through and clean these up as well. Just to get any extra residue or debris that's hanging out in there. Send it on its way. All right, so we're going to replace the 14 at the back. Right there. The 14 by 2. That's a 1470 that I replaced on the back. 14 by 270. Right there. And then 3 13s. Got 1, 2, and then the last one just kind of hangs out at the bottom. Doesn't really have as much of a pronounced groove as the other ones do. It's just going to sit down there like that. All right. So then this is going to ride up through this section right here. So we are going to put grease in that section right there. again, because I had to lay this on its side, I'm gonna look to make sure that my spring guide and spool spring are still in the middle. I'm gonna put that on top. I'm gonna put this through. I'm gonna screw it together. I'm just gonna hand tight it. There's no reason to stick like anything in there and like crank on it or whatever. Go to where it's tight. As you can see, I didn't grease this part yet because I needed to have some grip on it. If you cover all these O-rings in grease right away, and then you try to grab it and spin it around, you're just gonna slip around on there. So grease it afterwards, after you've had the ability to get it on there and tighten it up. Right there, and at this point, we can grease these rear 20s. Now we're going to take this front part. So this is the can. A lot of people refer to this part. It is an important part. The can's got 2 O-rings on it. The outside one is a 20, just like the ones at the back right here, and then the inside one is a 17. Both 70s, so 20, 70 and 1770. And we can scoop all these other ones up. Put these over here. So we'll pull this 20, put that around the outside. Now for the inside 17, you do want to make sure that you clean this groove out. So you're going to take a Q-tip, flatten it out with your finger, and then put that flat part into the groove and spin it around inside there. Because this can trap, it'll trap dirt and debris and grime inside there. And then when you go to put the O-ring on, the O-ring has to sit on top of all that stuff. And sometimes the O-ring doesn't sit properly inside there and it can cause firing issues. So make sure you really clean that groove out well and then replace your O-ring. So 17. And you can see I kind of like pinch it and bend it a little bit like that. And that allows me to pop it right in there and then just slide it in. Grease it up. And grease the inside because the bolt's got to ride through it. And then I'm going to grease the outside as well. And then we'll put that on in a minute. And then last, we've got our bolt. So this has 3 on it. This one is a little odd. This one that sits right here. The front one is a 1370. This one along the backside right here is a 14x2, which Planet uses a lot of these. And then this one right here is more of a bumper O-ring. It doesn't seal anything. It just works as a stop. And so it needs to be harder than the other O-rings that you're dealing with. So you want to use, this is a 1590 durometer. So it's a harder durometer, a harder O-ring for the backside. So a 1370, a 1590, and a 14x2. And we'll do a better job of cleaning that out right now. You can see that the paint is just caked on there. Rotate this around through here and get everything out that's in these little grooves. This looks like it's had some, like it's possibly never been changed out because the paint is so dried, as much as paint can dry, you know what I mean? But it's just so gross on there. That out of there. And then you want to clean the back, and then this groove. This is your sail O-ring right here. This is what causes the bolt to slide back. So you want to make sure that's real nice and clean. And then this, if you really want to get into it, you can clean all these little ports out as well. Air's only coming out of this. from the, like this way. All right, that looks good. All right, so let's get the 3 O-rings we need. Again, a 1370 for the front. Here. A 14x2 for the sail, which is, we're gonna do it this way. And then on the middle one, very important that we use that harder size 15. And then we're going to slide that all the way back. Right there. So let's put some grease. Grease. Then we already greased up the inside of that, so where these go together is going to be fine. But we do need to grease the inside of this because this rides on this piece right here. So I'm going to use this. And then I'm just going to grease up that. It's going to go on there like that. It's going to screw together. And all things considered, we should be able to gas this gun up and it should be fine. I'm going to thread this in to where it stops so I can actually unscrew it if I need to. And I don't need to put an Allen key in there and crank on this thing. Hand tight, it's fine. Let's turn it on. Let's make sure our eyes work. Eyes are working. Solenoid is activating. Tank has air. Let's hope we don't have a crazy leak still. We shouldn't because we fixed that. So let's gas it up. Listening for leaks. Don't hear anything. Sounding good. All that's left to do now is take it over to the chrono, set this for about 280 feet per second or so, and that's it. We're all done. Valve's working. Everything looking good. So I hope that helped. Anybody's got Etha 2s out there, if you run into any problems or just how to get the gun apart and how to maintenance it, you can see some common problems that you can get. That spool O-ring is super important to keep track of, and then anything else that's inside the gun. So we'll see you in the next video. Hope it helped.